This video will show you how to do parameter automation in LoopToGo. First, select the Automation Loop tool, or press X, and draw a yellow loop on the timeline. Right-click on the loop and select Add Automation. Select the parameter you want to automate, and press OK. To start drawing, right-click on the curve and select Edit Automation directly. Use the mouse to add or move points. You can also hold the left button to redraw the curve freely. Press Escape to exit the editing mode. Let's bring up the plugin UI to see the parameter moving. When the playhead is within the loop, the parameter is set to the curve value. When the playhead is outside the loop, the parameter is set to the baseline value. The automation is effective in both play and record modes. Now, let's look at how to precisely edit each point. Right-click on the curve and select Automation Settings. In the Table Data section, you can edit, add, or delete points. Double-click on a cell to edit its value. Click Apply to see the curve display the new data. The x-coordinates are always in bars, as the y-unit depends on the parameter. Note that each x value must be unique. You can select multiple points in order to delete them all at once. Clicking Add inserts a point in the largest gap. Click Apply or OK after making your changes. Points will be sorted according to their bar value. Let's look at the baseline concept. When you create a curve, the parameter's current value becomes its baseline. Outside the automation loop, the parameter is set to its baseline value. To change the baseline, right-click the curve and select Automation Settings. Edit the baseline value, or click the adjacent button to use the current parameter value. Note that the baseline is shared by all curves of the same parameter. Let's explore adding other curves and configuring them. Right-click the loop and select Add Automation. Select the parameter to automate and click OK. Right-click the curve and select Automation Settings. Click on the colored button to select a color. And click OK. And Apply. Click on Rename to choose a meaningful name. Make sure to click Apply after every modification. Use the drop-down menu to select and edit another curve. You can also click on the plus button to create a new curve. Select a parameter that is not already linked to a curve in the same loop, and click Apply to create and configure it. Let's look at how to do manual editing. Right-click a curve and select Edit Automation directly. In Edit mode, the curve is shown in white and the loop slowly flashes. Hold the left mouse button to draw the curve. Press Escape to exit the edit mode and select another curve to edit. Points are drawn at each snap grid. To edit the first point, simply draw backward. Press Escape to edit another curve. Clicking on the loop will move or create points at the snap grid. Zoom in or zoom out on the timeline to change the grid density. Click on a point to select or unselect it, or hold the Shift key to add to the selection list. Press Delete to remove a point, and use Undo or Redo if needed. To use the selection tool, start dragging from outside the loop. Let's see how we can have more control over snapping. By default, snapping is set to the visible grid. A quick way to change the snapping is to zoom in or zoom out on the timeline. It is also possible to avoid snapping by holding the Alt key. The Alt key can also be held when drawing. Select Align Points to Snap to redraw the curve according to the current snapping. Right-clicking the Snap button in the top left allows you to choose specific snap values. Let's look at a way to draw a curve by capturing parameter values. Enter the edit mode and press X to activate the capture mode. The curve is drawn in red to indicate it's in capture mode. In this mode, the point at the playhead will be set to the current parameter value. The whole curve can be recorded while the song is playing or recording. Press X to return to the edit mode, or Escape to return to playback mode. Let's see the different ways to resize an automation loop. When dragging the start or end of a loop to resize it, the curve is stretched proportionally. This is the default behavior. However, holding the Shift key while resizing shows three options. Hold, where the last values are extended. Stretch, which is the default behavior. And Repeat, where the curve is repeated from the start. Again, the points are created according to the current snap setting. These methods can also be applied to the beginning of the loop. Press Ctrl-Z to undo your change, and Ctrl-Y to redo it. To resize a loop to a specific length, select a loop, type the number of bars, and press Enter. To choose another resizing option, enter the number of bars and hold the Shift key while pressing Enter. A window will appear, allowing you to select the resizing method. Clicking the corresponding button will apply the resizing with the selected method. Last but not least, let's look at a small interface that can help create interesting curve shapes. First, make sure you are editing a curve. Then go to the Interfaces menu and select Show Interface Browser. In the search field, type Mod and double-click on the modulator. The modulator is a showcase interface that lets you choose between different shapes, such as ramps, triangle, and square. The minimum and maximum amplitude of each curve can be specified using the corresponding controls. As with all interfaces in LoopToGo, the modulator can be customized, but this is outside the scope of this video. However, it can be very convenient to create a button to quickly launch the modulator. To do this, open the interface browser and make sure the modulator interface is selected. Then click Create Script Button to create a button that will launch it. Right-click on the newly created button to configure its appearance and position. You now have a quick and convenient way to launch the modulator should you need it later on. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.